With the Creative Landscapes project, we've had disabled people involved in all areas of the project right from the start, and particularly in relation to developing the Heritage Open Days programmes. It's been invaluable for us because basically disabled people know what they experience. A programme like Accentuate has been really important because it's actually brought together different organisations and allowed us to work together and facilitated us working together to exchange our knowledge, exchange ideas about how we're doing things, and in the case of the film that's being shown here today, actually work together. So this is a project, this is a U-Screen project where Creative Landscapes has helped them to build the accessibility. We've funded the subtitling of the film and the audio description of the film. So actually Accentuate really facilitates the working, the coming together of these organisations. And I really believe that in Gosport and Hastings we're going to leave behind many heritage organisations who've already improved the access that they offer to their site and their events, but also who are thinking through different ways of doing things.
Heritage means to me the story of our past, everything we've done to change the landscape. It's the culture, it's the arts, it's our history, it's our past, but it's tangible, it's something we can touch. Heritage sites should be made more accessible to all disabled people because it belongs to all of us. Sounds a bit strange, why has an arts and culture and disability project got a lead geologist? But I'm looking at the shift that may happen and where that shift's going to happen in geological metaphor. So I'm monitoring, evaluating, talking, gathering, collecting, and I'll be making a lot of artwork and a final map.
I was once told that if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. So I think for me that's what heritage is about, really. Well, within 2012 what we're trying to do is make everything more accessible across the whole of broadest culture for disabled people. And heritage stands out because a lot of the sites themselves are rather old. They weren't built with access in mind, so actually physical access is something we need to address. But also the stories are also very one-sided. You know, there's very few stories of disabled people's heritage. So I think that's a really important thing that we need to do. Accentuate's doing sterling work in bringing people together from all over the region, from all forms of for culture, but also from the business sector, from the tourism sector, and actually putting all that learning and experience together makes for a very rounded process, but a really good learning process for those of us that are delivering it. Well, I think there's a tremendous legacy for Hastings in that, you know, once you've introduced a concept or an idea or a way of working, it's pretty tough for that way of working to disappear. So hopefully these methodologies and inclusive practice will continue. But I think it offers real learning for the rest of the heritage sector in terms of new audiences, making their work accessible, making innovative work.
Heritage Open Day is a really great way of getting disabled people and people with disabilities in. And actually, if you get people with disabilities planning the event, then that means that they know what works. Today, I've seen paintings, photography, I've seen how all of this blends in with here in Hastings, the way that the life in Hastings. And I've seen films created by young people with disabilities who will have got the passion and the ambition to go and make something of their lives.
Heritage events often involve older buildings or perhaps awkward spaces, so we perhaps need to think a little bit more carefully in our planning about how we make those events more accessible, but it's important to us because that's part of our audience development. We want to be opening up to everybody, and often we have found with our events, in making them more accessible for disabled people, we've in fact just made them better for everybody. Well, because we worked with the artists last year in 2010 and we've invited them to come back this year, that's already a legacy. And also, importantly, that's a model now of a project that we can use in the future.
Disabled people, as much as non-disabled people, have an interest in heritage, in history, culture, art, anything like that. Basically, they have the same interests as non-disabled people. They need to be able to access it. I think that the legacy of Creative Landscapes will be that more people and organisations will have a greater understanding of how to make projects and events accessible to deaf and disabled people.